All right, can I just like rant for a little bit here? Wait, one of my pet peeves I've never understood is okay, I'll just take the state of Pennsylvania right now. Okay, every polling location in Pennsylvania has the same process this year for the general election. You fill out a paper ballot, you put it in a machine that reads your little circles that you blotted out. It stores it in the machine, and then that machine reports at the end of the night, once the people at the polling location, report the data that's collected. How is it that almost 20% of these precincts numbers aren't reported yet? Like, what happens? Like, if one ballot got ripped or something, like it's like, well, we gotta hold off all the numbers that are reported. What I'm getting at is, why are we in a day and age where technology is such that it's 8:30 the next morning, and we kind of sort of have a feeling who's going to be president, but we don't know for sure that we're the greatest democracy in the world. Look at us. We're America. We can't elect a president by the next day because we don't have enough votes tabulated yet. That precincts still aren't reporting numbers, including in the state of Pennsylvania, which has a complete electronic-based system where every ballot is scanned, and it's just simply you report that number. Like, how is every number not reported from these precincts? How? Like, just report the numbers of scanned ballots. Like, how is it that difficult of a process that it's just not done? Like, it's like in a football game where like you watch a play and you say like, oh, they called pass interference, or they called the play as like, oh, it wasn't a catch in the end zone. It's like, oh, maybe the guy did catch it. And you see on the replay, it takes like the one angle of the replay. It's like, okay, oh, he did catch it. But the ref goes under the hood and he sits there and goes, let me see a different angle. Now let me see a different angle. Let me see, like it's just like the American version of something simple is making it as complicated as possible. And that's what the voting system here is in this country. It's so complicated for something that should be like, what did the people vote for? Okay, now count the number of what the people voted for. That's it. Just there's so much rigmarole that flips things up that makes it 10,000 times more complicated than it has to be. How do we not know who is the president the next morning? How? I get that the system is inundated with absentee ballots right now. I get that. An overwhelming amount of people voted with absentee ballots right now. But I then would argue, well, you've known since March that this was probably going to be the case. How are you not staffed up everywhere to expect this inundation of votes? And on top of that, it still doesn't excuse the fact that precincts haven't reported all their numbers yet. Because the actual polling locations should have even less of a demand, less of a volume of voting, because more people voted absentee. So why aren't those precinct numbers absolutely reported by now? As for the way things are looking right now, Trump has a 600,000 vote lead in Pennsylvania right now. At no point did he have a 600,000 vote lead over Hillary. Biden has to get like 80% of the absentee ballots voting for him, or else Trump is going to win by a considerable margin in Pennsylvania right now. Like, Biden is doing worse than Hillary did in Pennsylvania. Like, I hope this comment doesn't age well and things flip and I'm just like, oh, wow, I guess those precincts actually did vote for Biden in high numbers. But, man, the Republican Party is just running away with things. They're gaining seats in the House of Representatives. Like, and that's the thing, like the House of Representatives is usually reflective on the favorability of the sitting president, if the party of the president. So the favorability of the president is very low right now, and Republicans are still gaining seats. Like, this is like unheard of. And so much for that whole 10-point lead that Joe Biden had in the poll. in the polls going up to election day. Well, boy, that was a bunch of hogwash just as much as it was 4 years ago. So let's stop with the whole national polls because the system is flawed. And you know what? Props to everyone who ruined it, because guess what? I was one of the people that ruined it as well. Every single polling questionnaire or anything that came to me, I said I leaned heavily towards Trump. I said I leaned heavily towards Trump even though I voted for Biden. I said, even that call that I got yesterday saying that I went out to vote, that I noted in my phone was a call that asked me questions about President Trump before, how I feel his favorability with COVID is and a number of issues. I would say, oh, yes, he's doing a great job. I love that call yesterday asking if I went out to vote absolutely went to some sort of registry that said a Trump confirmed voter went out and voted for Trump. So people like me and others have ruined the system because you know what? Voting based on confidence, and people shouldn't be either held up or motivated more to vote based on a poll before the actual election. They should feel that my vote has to be made because my candidate needs it, not that Biden's got a 10-point advantage. You know, you don't really have to go out and vote. He's going to win over Trump. Because that's the air of just invulnerability that gets built up with these national polls. These are not the election results. Even if Trump loses, it's not going to be reflective of a 10-point lead in all the national polling that Biden had going into yesterday, going into election day. Like, I'm sorry. The polling is fraudulent. It's, as to use one of Trump's terms, fake news. So forget these national polls and letting that guide you in the right direction or make you feel like, oh, well, good thing Trump is getting what he deserves. He's going to get his butt kicked by Biden because he is so well ahead in the national polling. So much for that. Anyways, I wish I could tell you I knew for sure who it looks like he's going to win, but I think it's leaning more towards Trump looking like he's going to win right now. He's got a considerable lead in Michigan right now. Ohio's kind of iffy, and Pennsylvania looks like it's handily going to go. Like a neighboring state to Biden's home state, Delaware, like there should be like enough peripheral Delaware voters that moved into Pennsylvania to help really swing that vote to Biden's way, and that's not even the case. Wow. The bottom line is the Democratic Party, even if Biden squeaks in a victory, the Democratic Party has to look and say, we did not do a good job at all, period, end of sentence, end of video.